This is the new Andeli TIG 205 Pro machine. I really like the interface that they use on their machines. As you can see, it's sitting on my Harbor Freight welding cart and it sits on there real nice. Nice small machine, not too heavy. It comes with a lot of accessories. This is a WP26 torch and it also comes with the WP9. And this machine came with more consumables than I've ever seen with any other machine. Also, there is a foot pedal. It comes with a foot switch, a couple of plugs on the front. You've got the foot pedal, the 5-pin, and then a 2-pin switch for the torch switch or for the foot switch. About a 6.5-foot ground or work cable, and pretty much your standard type clamp on that. Nice carrying handle up top. They did send an air line for the gas. On the back of the machine they have a barbed fitting, and I didn't want to cut one end of that hose off, so I just used a hose that I had and then used a barbed fitting on my bottle or regulator as well, and the hose clamps that come with the kit. This is a full feature AC and DC TIG welding machine, and I think it's going to be a real nice machine from what I've seen so far. Here's a good look at the digital screen, and I just really like their user interface. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we'll have a little bit of a look at that as I go to practicing and testing this machine and just playing around. I haven't TIG welded for quite some time, so I need some practice, and we'll explore the features and just see how it does. This machine has the cold welding feature. I need to kind of explore it. I'm not familiar with it, but we'll go over the normal TIG functions, both with steel, and we'll do some aluminum using the AC. It has pulse. It's both a 120 or a 240 volt machine, and it comes with the adapter cord. The machine itself has the 240, and then it necks it down for the 120 if you want to use a 110 or 120 outlet. Only 2 knobs here and 2 buttons for the interface. And I played around with it just a little bit, and it seems to be pretty straightforward and user-friendly to be able to figure it out without too much difficulty. We'll cover some of that as I set it up for some of these different welds. Let's get it set up, and we'll just play around with it and see how it does. All right, let's look at some basic operations of the machine and how this screen and interface works. So to start with, you can push this home button over here, bring you to the home page, and then you can see all of the different options you have for choosing, I guess it's over here, for choosing what function you want to do. We've got high frequency AC, lift TIG, so you can also use it in lift TIG if you've got a difficult position or something, a weld that you need to perform and you can't use the foot pedal. Then that's both AC, and then we have the same thing in DC, high frequency TIG, and then DC lift TIG. These 2 functions with the snowflake on them are AC and DC cold weld functions. I'll have to explore more about that because I've never done that before. But it gives you 2 options, both AC and DC for that. And that's mainly, I think, for like spot welding very, very thin metals. So it'll be kind of fun to explore that later on. I may do a separate video of that in the future as I learn more about it. This one is AC and DC. Again, something I'm not familiar with, but we'll check it out. When I did look through the manual, it is a decent manual, but it's not a beginner-oriented manual. So you definitely need to have some knowledge of TIG welding in order to get something out of the manual. It doesn't go into a lot of detail on these different functions. And as you can see, it doesn't stay in the function all that long if you're not turning knobs. It is also a AC and DC stick welder. It does have full functions on those. So you've got VRD, even pulse in stick, as well as hot start, arc force, and you can adjust all of these items, pulse frequency for stick welding. So that's interesting, and that'll be fun to explore. It does not come with a rod holder, so if you want to stick weld with the machine, you're going to have that purchased separately, both AC and DC for that. So let's go back. We'll just do DC high frequency TIG, and it explains right on the screen what you're getting into, so that's kind of nice. So we'll select the high frequency DC TIG, and then you can adjust every point along this form here. You press the left button and it'll scroll to the left. You push the right button and it'll scroll to the right. So full function, you can adjust pretty much every parameter that you would want to. So let's set it up for just regular DC TIG. We're going to use 0.2 seconds on the pre-gas or pre-flow. It can start at 10 amps. You can adjust that wherever you want it, but we'll start at the lowest. We'll use the foot pedal, and it says up here, once you connect the foot control, the foot pedal, it knows that you're using the foot pedal, so you don't have to really do anything with that. And we'll switch. Let's see. Let's do, I'll use some 1/8 inch material, so let's just set this at about 120, and then we'll use the foot control to control the amperage through the weld. Down slope, it'll end at 10 amps, and then post gas flow we'll use 4 seconds. We're just practicing this. None of these welds matter, so we'll just use as little as possible. Maybe you want that at 5 or 6 if you're doing an actual weld on something. So you've got pulse on and off. You can turn that, let's see, yeah, on or off, and then the screen changes so you can adjust all the different pulse settings. Again, full featured, so everything about pulse you could ever want, you can adjust on this machine. Here's a memory selection. So as far as I could tell, you can have 10 different memories and set presettings in there and just select a memory number, and then you're already set up and ready to go. If you're doing different materials or different types of jobs, it's actually a real nice feature. Oh, and up here in the corner, as you can see, it says we're connected to 220 volts. When you're plugged into 120 or 110, it'll show you 110 up there in the corner. We get set up on the welding table with a coupon or two with some scrap pieces of steel, and we'll just test it out and see how it does. 10 amp start, very, very small arc. I do like the control of the foot pedal. Just now getting a puddle. Yeah, that is real smooth. Backs off to almost nothing, just 10 amps. Let's try one more right next to that. I'll just see if I can go a little bit farther with it this time. Wow, yeah, that is a real nice smooth arc. I really like the arc so far on the machine. Let me set this up. We'll try some pulse. Alright, that's a little faster than what I thought. Let's adjust that a little bit. Frequency, let's go down to 3. Let's try 30% instead of 17. So it definitely has a lot of adjustability to it. Let's do 0.5 on the hertz. Okay, that is very slow. but really cool. So tons of adjustment on the pulse feature on this machine. 0.5, let's move that up to 0.8, just a little less than a pulse per second. All right, I'd like that to be on the pulse a little bit longer, so let's move the percentage up. From 17, we'll go to 30. All right, yeah, so that's easy to adjust once you play around with it just a little bit, figure out what the settings are. And if you do this every day, you'd be a lot more proficient than I am, but I'm a hobby welder. Let me show you these here real quick. All right, so that's some of the playing around I did. You can see the two welds I made with the regular standard settings. This is 16th inch mild steel. And then all the mess at the bottom there is playing around with that pulse. There's the backside. So we'll take this on another coupon and try a lap joint or something and see how it does. I changed my mind. I think I'm going to set these up for an outside corner joint. I haven't done one of those for so long I can't remember the last time I did one. So see if I can get these tacked up for an outside corner joint. Real nice, easy to tack with. Very low amperage arc start. Let's put a tack in the center. Alright, there's my 3 tacks and the outside corner joint set up, and I'll run from one tack to the center tack, see how I can do on this outside corner joint. Well, that was real smooth. Let me show that to you. Yes, that did real nice. Very smooth. There's a look at the inside. We got full penetration through that joint, and we didn't burn a hole, so that's good. Actually, I think I'll set it up, see if I can do some pulse on the second half. Pulse on. Let's go with the 0.8 seconds, 30%. Yeah, let's just go with that. And we'll try this autogenous, see if I can weld that other half with autogenous pulse. And since I'm on pulse, I'm going to turn it, the amperage to, let's go with 75 amps. A little more power there at the top end. Well, that was real nice. That made it real super easy to go across there, and you got a real nice looking corner joint there. I'll show that to you. The one on the left is the pulse settings, autogenous, no filler, and the right was standard welding with filler. Let's see what the backside looks like. Again, on the left was pulse, autogenous, right was standard. Very uniform. Very smooth, real nice. I actually really like it. Heat signatures are about the same for both welds. These look to be 1/8 inch mild steel. So we'll set these up and we'll just try a lap joint. Again, I had to show you these tacks. It's just real smooth and easy to tack with on that slow, low amp arc start. Very nice. Alright, there's the lap joint. Looks like it might be a little underfilled, but that's not the machine's fault, that's me. See if I can do a little better on the remainder. Alright, there's the remainder of that one. We'll flip it over and do this one next. Let's set this one up with pulse, just for fun. And we're gonna need more than 105. Let's go to 115 on the amperage, 30%, 20 amps on the low side. Let's go with 0.7 on the hertz, so kind of slow. Slow it down a little bit. See what that does. Alright, that's the start. I need more amperage. Let's do 140 on the high side. Let's come down to about 50 on the low amperage. And that's the completed lap joint. Does a real nice job. Alright, let's switch this up and try some AC. So first we want to go over here, I believe. That's on DC high frequency TIG. Back up to lift TIG. Let's go high frequency TIG AC. Select. Let's go down to 125. AC frequency, we'll use a 120 hertz. 40, let's back that down to 35% on the balance. No down slope. 10 amps stop setting. 4.0 on the seconds on the post flow. 0.2 on the pre-flow. 10 amp start and no upslope. So we've got the square wave, sine wave, and I can't remember what this other one was called, but it's kind of a trapezoidal wave. I think that's what they called it. I think that's for thinner metals to help control your heat input. And if you want a lot of penetration and power in the arc, you can use this square wave. So let's try a square wave just for fun. We'll see how that does. I think I could stand to use a little more cleaning action, so I'm going to turn that up to, I think I said I had it on 35. I'll go up to 40. So we're at 35. Let's go up to 40. And that's what that one looks like. A little bit of crud. I didn't clean the metal very well, but that's a powerful arc. And I think, just thinking about this, see plenty of heat, too much actually. We'll let this cool a little bit. I'm going to switch the waveform. I think that square wave is quite a bit different from what I've used on other machines and kind of what I'm used to. So let's try it. It's called that trapezoid wave. Should tone that arc down a little bit. And that's the square wave. This is sine wave, like an old transformer style AC welder. This is the trapezoid. So we'll try that one and see if I can do any better with that. Everything else will keep the same. So the one on the bottom is the second one with the trapezoid, and that's a little more like the other machines I've used. I don't even know what type of waveform the other machines I have used. It's not an adjustable feature. It's just whatever they set it at from the factory. But it's kind of neat to be able to adjust that to different types of waveforms so you can customize it to whatever it is you're trying to do. And while we're at it, we might as well switch it over and try the sine wave just to see what that's like. And we'll keep everything else the same. That foot pedal is very sensitive. It must have a pretty precise controller inside, because when I just barely touch it, the arc comes on, and I got to back all the way off that pedal to extinguish the arc. Just different from what I'm used to, but it's very, very sensitive, very precise control on the foot pedal. And I think if I get used to it, I'd actually really like it. And the one across the bottom is the sine wave. So there's the 3 different waveforms that you can choose on this machine for different purposes. Really interesting to be able to have that type of adjustability and precision. Depending on what you do, that could be really handy. So we'll just run a couple of pulse beads up here and just test out the pulse on the AC side of this Andeli TIG 205 and see how it does. So we've got 120 amps on the top side, 50%. 10 amps on the base, 0.9, almost 1 pulse per second, and we're set on 120 hertz on frequency. Actually, let's drop that frequency down to 60, just so we can test out the hertz adjustment as well on the AC settings. Let's give that a try, see how it does. Alright, that's real nice, real smooth. I'm going to switch back to the square wave. On the hertz, let's go from 60, see how high it'll go. 250 hertz. Alright, well let's see what that does. Alright, that's definitely a much higher hertz. 60 and 250. Let's go back to 120. A very fine adjustment on this machine with this digital interface, which I really like. Alright, 120 hertz. Let's go for 2 pulses per second. Yeah, so the pulse feature definitely works. So the top 3 are the pulse welds. Those are just autogenous welds with no filler, just to test out the pulse feature in the AC mode. Very usable, very adjustable, and a lot of potential with those settings in my opinion. So there is an initial look at the Andeli TIG 205 Pro. I think it's a real nice machine. I think it's got more than enough features on it for pretty much anybody. This thing will do anything you need it to do. It's got the 2 torches. It comes with a foot pedal. I think it'd be nice if they had a regular connection on the machine so you could use the hose that they sent with the machine. I will put links for this machine in the description if you want to have a closer look at it. But as far as the TIG function and the arc, very smooth, real nice machine. Easy to use interface, it's user friendly. I actually really like the interface. And I like the size. It fits on my little Harbor Freight welding cart. Tuck this back in a corner. It doesn't take up half the shop. It's not too heavy, and it has that temperature controlled fan that I really like. So if you want to see some more welding videos, YouTube will put one on the screen now that they think you're going to like, and if you click on that, I'll meet you over there.